His voice cuts through the darkness of the hospital room at 2 in the morning. "Lily Morgan," he whispers, and my hand freezes on the fourth line. "You saved me." I stand there in my nurse scrubs, Emma Brooks according to my badge, watching Alexander Pierce dream about a woman who doesn't exist anymore. Except she does. She's standing right here. I'm Lily Morgan, the influencer with 8 million followers who disappeared 6 months ago. And this man, this beautiful broken man in bed 7, is in this hospital because of me. The heart monitor beeps steadily as I check his vitals, my hands shaking. He doesn't know. Nobody knows. Alexander Pierce, tech billionaire and CEO of Pierce Medical Technologies, has no idea that his night nurse is the woman whose videos he's watched for 3 years. The woman whose content he commented on every single upload. The woman whose last video he was watching when his car crossed the median and wrapped around a telephone pole. I should walk away, clock out, request a different patient assignment. But I can't. Because buried in the police report that I definitely shouldn't have read is a detail that's been eating me alive for 5 days. Phone recovered from vehicle showed video content playing at time of impact. Content creator Lily Morgan. Lifestyle and motivation category, that's what it said. Clean, clinical. Destroying. He shifts in his sleep. And I see the scar on his forehead from the surgery. The broken ribs are healing. The collapsed lung is reinflated. But every injury is a reminder that my face, my voice, my content pulled his attention from the road for just long enough. I came to this hospital 6 months ago to hide from a man who wanted to kill me. I'm staying because I owe Alexander Pierce a debt I can never repay. Let me take you back. Take you to the moment when Lily Morgan, the girl who told 8 million people to live authentically, became the biggest liar in the room. It started with a message. They always do. "You're so beautiful, Lily. I watch you every day. You don't know me, but I know everything about you." I thought it was fan mail. Sweet, a little intense, but harmless. I was so stupid. Tell us what country you're watching from. I love knowing how far these stories travel. Now let's continue. 6 months ago I had everything. A penthouse in Manhattan. Brand deals worth 6 figures. A team of 5 people managing my content. My parents were proud. My little sister wanted to be me. I filmed videos about morning routines, self-care, finding joy in small moments. I was selling a dream and people were buying. Including one person who decided that dream meant I belonged to him. The messages escalated. Detailed descriptions of what he wanted to do to me. Photos of my apartment building taken from across the street. A package delivered to my door containing a lock of hair that DNA testing proved was from my neighbor's missing cat. The police said there wasn't enough evidence. My lawyer said I should consider relocating. My manager said it would blow over. Then I came home one night and found him in my living room. He didn't touch me. That's what made it worse somehow. He just sat on my couch in my home and told me I was being ungrateful, that he'd supported me from the beginning, that I owed him, that if I didn't give him what he deserved, he'd make sure no one could have me. The scar on his left cheek, the one I memorized while waiting for police, that's how I'll know him if I ever see him again. I left that apartment and never went back. Lily Morgan died that night. Emma Brooks was born in her place. The plan was simple. My lawyer handled everything. We released a statement saying I was taking an indefinite hiatus for mental health reasons. My accounts went dark. No explanation, no goodbye video, just gone. My family knew the truth and relocated temporarily. I emptied my bank accounts, changed my appearance, and enrolled in an accelerated nursing program under my new legal name. Emma Brooks. Plain, forgettable, safe. Becoming a nurse wasn't random. My mother was a nurse. I'd grown up understanding that helping people wasn't about cameras or likes. It was about showing up when someone needed you most. The program was brutal. 8 months compressed into raw dedication, but I was motivated by more than career change. I was motivated by survival, and maybe somewhere deep down by guilt. Guilt that my beautiful life had been built on a foundation that attracted a monster. I got hired at Metropolitan General 3 months ago. I keep my head down, do excellent work, and don't make friends. The other nurses think I'm shy. My supervisor thinks I'm dedicated. Nobody thinks I'm hiding. That's exactly how I need it. I wear my hair in a simple ponytail, glasses I don't need, minimal makeup. I look nothing like the glossy, perfectly lit woman who smiled from a million screens. I look like someone who saves lives instead of curating them. Then 5 days ago, they wheeled Alexander Pierce into the ICU, and my carefully constructed world tilted sideways. I recognized him immediately. Not from the tech magazines or the Forbes lists, but from his profile picture. User AlexP47. 3 years of consistent comments on every video I ever posted. Never creepy, always kind. You made me smile today. Thank you. This video came exactly when I needed it. Your authenticity is rare, don't ever change. He was my favorite follower, and I never knew his real name. I requested a different patient. My supervisor denied it, we were understaffed. So I became Alexander Pierce's night nurse. The hours when most patients are vulnerable and honest. When he woke up the first time, confused and in pain, he looked at me like I was an angel. He had no idea I was his personal demon. The woman whose content had distracted him at exactly the wrong moment. "What's your name?" he asked, voice rough from the breathing tube they'd removed that morning. "Emma," I told him. "Emma Brooks." He smiled despite the pain. "That's a nice name. Strong. Thank you for taking care of me, Emma." I wanted to tell him the truth right then. Wanted to say I'm Lily Morgan and this is my fault and I'm so sorry. Instead, I adjusted his pillow and told him to rest. Over the next 3 days, I learned things about Alexander Pierce that his 800,000 Instagram followers didn't know. He was afraid of the dark, a childhood thing he admitted sheepishly when I found him awake at 3 a.m. He talked in his sleep, mostly about code and algorithms, occasionally about his mother who'd passed 2 years ago. He was kind to every staff member, remembered names, said thank you like it was a prayer. And he was lonely. Successful, wealthy, admired, and desperately lonely. I shouldn't have let myself care. But somewhere between checking his vitals and watching him struggle to eat Jell-O with broken ribs, I stopped seeing him as Alex P47 and started seeing him as Alexander. As a man who'd survived something terrible and was trying to find reasons to smile. A man who looked at his night nurse like she was the best part of his day. A man who had no idea he was falling for a ghost. On the 4th night, everything changed. He was cleared to sit up finally, and I was helping him adjust when he saw my phone screen light up on the counter. The wallpaper was a quote, generic inspiration, the kind of thing Emma Brooks would have. But Alexander stared at it like he'd seen a ghost. "That's from a Lily Morgan video," he said quietly. "From about a year ago." "Do you follow her?" My heart stopped. I forced my face into casual confusion. "Who?" "Lily Morgan," he repeated, and there was something in his voice. Pain, longing. She was this content creator, really popular, helped a lot of people. She disappeared 6 months ago. Just went dark. No explanation. I still check her accounts every day, hoping she'd come back. He looked at me with those storm gray eyes. "Do you think she's okay?" "I'm sure she is," I managed. "Sometimes people need to step away. I hope she's happy, wherever she is," he said softly. "She gave me a lot, more than she probably knows. I'd tell her thank you if I could. Just thank you for existing." The irony was so sharp it cut. Here I was, the woman he wanted to thank, unable to accept the gratitude because accepting it meant admitting the truth, that his accident was my fault, that his gratitude should be rage. I changed the subject, asked about his work. He told me about Pierce Medical Technologies, how they developed eye diagnostic tools for hospitals in underserved areas. How he'd built the company from nothing after watching his mother die because a rural clinic missed her cancer. He was saving lives with technology while I'd been selling lifestyle aesthetics. The contrast made me feel small. Made me wonder what Lily Morgan had really contributed to the world beyond pretty images and empty affirmations. "You're different," he said suddenly. "From the other nurses, I mean. You listen like you actually care." "I do care," I told him, and it was true. "I care that you're healing. I care that you're okay. I care more than you know." "Why?" he asked, smiling slightly. "Why do you care so much about a stranger?" "Because you're not a stranger," I almost said. "Because I've been reading your comments for 3 years. Because you were kind when you didn't have to be. Because I owe you everything." But Emma Brooks didn't know Alexander Pierce, so Emma Brooks just smiled and said, "Because it's my job." The next night he was doing better, strong enough to walk short distances with help. I was supporting him on a lap around the wing when he stopped by the window overlooking the city. The lights stretched forever, and we stood there in comfortable silence. "I used to watch those lights and feel lonely," he admitted, "surrounded by millions of people and completely alone." "Do you ever feel like that?" "Every day," I whispered, and it was the most honest thing I'd said in months. He turned to look at me, and suddenly the space between us felt charged. "Emma," he started, then hesitated. "Is it inappropriate if I say I look forward to your shifts? That you're the reason I'm trying so hard to heal faster?" My breath caught. "Mr. Pierce," I began. "Alexander," he corrected. "Please call me Alexander. And please tell me I'm not imagining this connection." I should have stepped back. Should have maintained professional distance. Instead, I heard myself say, "You're not imagining it." He reached up slowly, giving me time to move away, and tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear. His hand was gentle despite the 4 still attached. "You're beautiful," he said. "Not magazine beautiful, real beautiful. The kind that makes me want to know everything about you. Tell me something true, Emma. Something real." The request was so close to my old content, live authentically, share your truth, that I almost laughed. "What do you want to know?" I asked. "Why nursing?" he asked. "What made you choose this?" I thought of the real answer because I was running, because I needed to disappear, because I needed to matter in a way that didn't require filters and ring lights. But I gave him the other truth, the deeper one. My mother was a nurse. She taught me that showing up for people in their worst moments is the most honest work there is. No performance, no pretending, just presence. He looked at me like I'd said something profound. "That's exactly it," he breathed. "Presence. I've been chasing that my whole life. And here you are, just giving it freely." We were interrupted by another nurse needing assistance, and I helped Alexander back to his room with proper professional distance. But something had shifted. We both felt it. The next 3 days were torture. Every shift became a tightrope walk between the woman I was and the woman he thought I was. He asked about my life, and I gave him Emma's carefully constructed backstory. Small-town upbringing, state school, quiet life. All lies built on a foundation of deeper truth. But he was getting stronger. Soon he wouldn't need a night nurse. Soon he'd be discharged and I'd never see him again. The thought hurt more than it should, more than was safe. On what I thought would be his last night under my care, he asked me to sit with him. Just sit. His tablet was open on the bedside table, and I saw it. My face, Lily Morgan's face. From a video thumbnail, one of hundreds still live on my frozen accounts. "You really do follow her," I said. keeping my voice steady. Followed, he corrected sadly. Past tense. She's gone. But yes, I was a devoted fan. Probably pathetic for a 34-year-old CEO to be obsessed with a lifestyle influencer. It wasn't pathetic, I said too quickly. Her content, it helped people. It helped you. How do you know it helped me? He asked, curious. You said so. I covered earlier. You mentioned she gave you a lot. I thought maybe she'd laugh at me, he admitted. Successful guy watching videos about morning routines and self-care. But she made it feel okay to want more than just achievement. To want joy. I gave him what he needed then. A perspective only I could offer. Maybe she needed to hear that too. Maybe that's why she created that content. Not because she had it figured out, but because she was searching too. He considered this. You think she was lonely? I think everyone's lonely sometimes, I said. Even people who look like they have everything. Especially them. He reached for my hand, laced his fingers through mine. Are you lonely, Emma? Yes, I whispered. So lonely I forgot what connection felt like until I met you. It was too honest. Too revealing. But I couldn't take it back. Good, he said, and I looked at him in surprise. Good that you're lonely? No, he clarified with a small smile. Good that you're letting yourself connect. Good that it's with me. Emma, I know this is complicated. I know there are professional boundaries. But I'm being discharged tomorrow and I need to know. Can I see you again, outside of this hospital? Every rational thought screamed no. Dating a patient was unethical. Dating someone while lying about my identity was cruel. Dating Alexander Pierce while knowing I was responsible for his injuries was monstrous. But sitting there with his hand in mine, looking into eyes that saw Emma Brooks and somehow saw through to the real me underneath, I heard myself say yes. Yes, I'd like that very much. His smile was worth every risk, every lie. Every consequence I knew was coming. Stalker, homum de 36 annos, estatura mediana, magro, rosto comum. Cabello loiro despintedo. Ojos oscuros y intensos. Cicatriz marcanti na bochecha esquerda, barba malfeita. Vestindo a multum oscuro com capuz. Expresso calma y inquietant, sombras y tensao. We exchanged numbers. Real numbers. I gave him Emma's phone, the one with no connection to Lily Morgan. He saved it immediately under a contact name I saw when his screen lit up. Emma, with a small heart emoji. Such a simple gesture. Such a dangerous attachment. When my shift ended that morning, I sat in my car and cried. Not sad tears, complicated tears, scared tears. Grateful tears. I was falling for someone who could never know me. And I had no idea how to stop. Alexander was discharged the next afternoon. Someone else's shift, which felt like a mercy. But that evening my phone buzzed with a text. Coffee? Tomorrow. Nothing fancy. Just want to see you when I'm not attached to machines. I stared at the message for 5 full minutes before responding. I'd love that. He sent back a time and place, a quiet cafe in a neighborhood where nobody knew Lily Morgan had ever existed. I can't wait. He wrote. Something about how you make me feel like myself. I understood completely. He made me feel like myself too. The problem was he had no idea which self that was. I spent the next day spiraling. Changed outfits 6 times. Emma Brooks wore simple clothes, nothing flashy. But I wanted to look nice for him. Wanted him to see me as more than scrubs and exhaustion. I settled on jeans and a sweater, minimal makeup, hair down for once. I looked in the mirror and saw a stranger. Not Lily, not Emma. Someone in between. Someone who was about to make a huge mistake and couldn't bring herself to care. The cafe was perfect. Tucked away, warm lighting. The kind of place where conversations mattered more than appearances. Alexander was already there, sitting by the window, and when he saw me his whole face lit up. He stood carefully, still healing, and pulled out my chair. You look beautiful, he said. Different without the scrubs. I like seeing this side of you. You look good too, I told him. Less like someone who got hit by life. He laughed. Actually laughed. I needed that, he said. Thank you. For what? For making me laugh. For being here. For being you. We talked for 3 hours. He told me about growing up poor, building his company from nothing, the pressure of success that never felt like enough. I told him Emma's story but laced it with my truth, the feeling of performing for others. The exhaustion of being what people expected. The desire to matter in a way that felt real. I was as honest as I could be while lying about everything. Somehow he heard the truth underneath. You get it, he said, wonder in his voice. Most people don't. They see the success or the title or the bank account. You see me. I wanted to tell him then, wanted to confess everything. But my phone buzzed with an alert, news notification, and I froze. The headline made my blood turn to ice. Lily Morgan sighting reported in New York. Fans demand answers. Someone had posted a blurry photo on social media. A woman who looked like me or like Lily walking into a building that could have been Metropolitan General. The post had 17,000 shares. He noticed my expression. Everything okay? He asked. Fine, I lied. Just work stuff. You sure? You look pale. I'm fine, I repeated, but my hands were shaking. We left the cafe shortly after, the easy mood broken by my panic poorly disguised as tiredness. Alexander insisted on walking me to my car, ever the gentleman. Before I got in, he caught my hand. Emma, I know we just started this, whatever this is. But I need you to know something. I haven't felt this way in years. Maybe ever. You make me want to be brave. Want to risk getting hurt. I want more of this. More of yous. Is that okay? I looked up at him. This good man who deserved so much better than my lies. And I kissed him. It was supposed to be quick. A simple kiss. But his hand came up to cut my face and suddenly it was everything. Desperate and gentle and terrifying in its perfection. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. Okay, he whispered against my forehead. That answers my question. I laughed despite everything, despite the terror churning in my stomach, despite knowing this was going to end in flames. See you tomorrow, I asked. Tomorrow and every day after, if you'll let me, he promised. I drove away watching him in my rearview mirror and I knew. I was in love with Alexander Pierce. And it was going to destroy us both. That night I did something stupid. I logged into Lily Morgan's accounts from a secure browser. I shouldn't have. The rules my lawyer set were clear, but I needed to see the damage. The sighting post had gone viral. 40,000 shares now. The comments were a mix of concern and conspiracy. She's alive. I knew she wouldn't just leave us. Someone find her, we need answers. And then, buried in the thread, a comment that stopped my heart. That's not Lily, that's someone pretending to be her. I've seen this woman before. She's a nurse at Metropolitan General. Her real name is Emma Brooks and she's a fraud. The commenter's profile was anonymous, created that day. But I knew. Somehow I knew it was him, the stalker. He'd found me, not just found me, but he knew both identities. Knew I was hiding, knew exactly where I worked. I slammed the laptop shut and tried to breathe, tried to think. I should run. Disappear again. Emma Brooks could vanish as easily as Lily Morgan had. But running meant leaving Alexander. Leaving this fragile, beautiful thing we'd started building. Leaving the first real connection I'd had in a year. My phone rang. Alexander, I almost didn't answer. Almost started the running process right then. But I picked up. Hey, he said, voice warm and slightly concerned. I know it's late,
but I couldn't stop thinking about you, about that kiss. Are you okay? You seemed off when we left. I'm fine. I lied automatically.
Just tired. Emma, he said gently.
I'm not great at reading signals, but I'm pretty sure something's wrong. You can tell me.
Whatever it is.
Can I see you? I asked suddenly. Now? It's midnight, he pointed out, but I heard the smile. But yes, absolutely yes.
Come over. I'll send you my address. I drove to Alexander's penthouse like I was running from flames.
Maybe I was.
He opened the door in sweatpants and a t-shirt, hair messy, looking more real than any version of him I'd imagined. He took one look at my face and pulled me inside.
What happened? He asked. Talk to me. I can't, I whispered. I want to, but I can't. So don't talk, he said simply.
Just stay. Let me hold you. We sat on his couch, my head on his chest, his arms around me, and I felt safe for the first time in months. That should have been my warning. Safety is an illusion, especially for people like me. I fell asleep there, exhausted by fear and lies. When I woke, it was 3 a.m. and Alexander was still awake, watching me with an expression I couldn't name. You talk in your sleep, he said quietly. Want to know what you said? Dread filled me.
What? You said I'm sorry. Over and over. I'm sorry, Alexander. I'm so sorry. He brushed hair from my face. What are you sorry for, Emma?
Everything, I whispered, and it was the truest thing I'd ever told him. He kissed my forehead. Whatever it is, whatever you think you've done, I forgive you.
You don't understand, I started. Then help me understand, he said. I'm right here.
I'm not going anywhere. I almost told him everything, almost confessed it all. But then his phone buzzed on the coffee table and we both saw the notification. Email from his assistant. Subject line visible.
Press inquiry re your accident. Reference to Lily Morgan video. Need response. We both stared at it.
Then he looked at me, confused.
Why would press be asking about Lily Morgan in connection with my accident? I started, but he was already opening the email. Reading. Understanding dawning on his face in real time.
The email detailed a small blog post making connections. Alexander Pierce's accident occurred while phone showed content playing. Content creator Lily Morgan. Same creator who disappeared mysteriously. Same time frame. Speculation about connection. Requests for comment. It was reaching, conspiracy theory nonsense.
But Alexander was looking at me now with an expression I couldn't read. Emma, he said slowly. That's weird, right? That your name is Emma Brooks, and there's this whole thing with Lily Morgan?
Just a coincidence. I forced a laugh. Lots of people have similar names. He didn't look convinced. Right, he said. Coincidence. But something had shifted. A seed of doubt had been planted.
I left shortly after, claiming an early shift.
The lie came easily now. Too easily. He walked me to the door and kissed me goodbye, but it felt different. Uncertain. Emma, he called as I reached the elevator. Yeah? Do you believe in fate?
The question caught me off guard. I don't know, I answered honestly.
I think I'm starting to, he said.
I think maybe the universe has been trying to tell me something and I've been too stubborn to listen. What do you mean? I asked. But the elevator arrived.
He just smiled sadly. Nothing. Text me when you get home safe. I rode down 20 floors with my reflection staring back at me, and I knew. Time was running out. The next day at the hospital felt like walking through water.
Everything was harder, slower. Every interaction weighted with the knowledge that it might be my last.
My supervisor pulled me aside during lunch. Emma, there's been some social media activity. Someone posted about one of our nurses, claimed she's actually a missing influencer or something. It's nonsense, obviously. But hospital policy requires we address any staff being targeted online. You haven't noticed anything unusual?
Anyone following you? Strange messages? I shook my head, lying professionally. Nothing. She looked relieved. Good. Still, be careful. These internet people can be persistent. I promised I would be. Another lie in an endless chain. That afternoon I was restocking supplies when I felt it. The sensation of being watched. I turned and saw a man at the end of the corridor. Average height, average build, completely forgettable except for one detail. A scar on his left cheek. My stalker. He smiled when he saw me notice. Waved casually. Like we were old friends. Then he turned and walked away. I dropped the supplies I was holding and ran. Ran to the security office, reported a suspicious person, gave a description. They searched but found nothing. No one matching that description on any camera. You sure you saw someone? The guard asked. I'm sure, I said. He's here. He found me. I called Alexander from my car, hands shaking too hard to drive. He answered on the first ring. Emma, what's wrong? You sound terrified. I need to tell you something, I said. Something I should have told you from the beginning. But you need to promise you'll hear the whole story. He was quiet for a moment. Okay, he said carefully. I'm listening. Not on the phone, I said. In person. Can you meet me? There's a park near the hospital, quiet this time of day. He didn't hesitate. I'm on my way. 20 minutes. Emma? Yeah? Whatever this is, we'll figure it out. Promise. I wanted to believe him. But promises made in ignorance aren't promises at all. They're just pretty words before everything breaks. I waited on a bench overlooking a small pond. Watched ducks glide across water that reflected nothing but sky. Calm surface hiding whatever moved beneath. My whole life was that pond. Beautiful lie on top of a darker truth. Alexander arrived exactly 20 minutes later, moving carefully but healing well. He sat beside me and took my hand. Talk to me, he said. Whatever it is. I took a breath. My name isn't Emma Brooks. Is legally now. But that's not who I was born as. It's not who I was until 6 months ago. He went very still. Who were you? I looked at him, this man I'd fallen in love with under false pretenses. I was Lily Morgan. He pulled his hand away. What? Lily Morgan? I repeated. The influencer. The one you followed. The one whose video was playing when you had your accident. I'm her. I've been her this whole time. I watched him process this. Saw confusion turn to disbelief, turn to understanding, turn to something that looked like betrayal. He started, then stopped. You've been lying to me. Yes, this whole time. Every conversation. Our entire relationship. Built on a lie. Yes, I whispered. But the feelings weren't lies. Everything I felt, everything I feel for you, that's real. How would I know? He asked. And his voice was quiet, dangerous. How would I possibly know what's real when you've been someone else the entire time? Let me explain, I begged. Let me tell you why. He stood up. I don't want explanations. He stopped, running hands through his hair. I spent 3 years following you online, thinking you were this authentic person. This real person in a fake world. Then you disappeared and I mourned you. Actually mourned someone I'd never met. And all this time you were right here, lying to my face, pretending to be someone else. Do you know how that feels? I do know, I said, standing too. I know exactly how it feels because I've been that person. The authentic one who was actually performing. The real person who was actually hiding. I disappeared because someone was trying to kill me, Alexander. I didn't have a choice. That stopped him. What? There's a man, I said, words tumbling out now. A stalker.
He found me 6 months ago, broke into my apartment, threatened my life. I disappeared to survive. Changed my name, my appearance, my entire life. I became a nurse because I needed to be someone completely different. And then you came into that hospital and I recognized you.
ALEXP47, my favorite follower.
The man who'd been kind to a stranger on the internet. And you were there because of me. Because you were watching my content when you crashed. I've been carrying that guilt every single day. She's lying, a voice said from behind us. We both turned. My stalker stood 10 feet away, phone in hand, recording. She's a manipulator. A fraud. She doesn't care about you. She doesn't care about anyone but herself. Alexander moved in front of me instinctively, protective despite his anger. Who are you? He demanded. I'm her biggest fan, the stalker said, smiling that horrible smile. I've supported her from the beginning. Watched every video. Learned everything about her. And she rewarded me by disappearing. By rejecting me.
So I've been looking, searching, and I finally found her.
Found both of you, actually. Isn't that interesting? The famous influencer and the billionaire. What a story.
He took a step closer.
I'm going to make sure everyone knows. Make sure the whole world sees what a liar she is. Stay back, Alexander warned, phone already out calling security. The stalker laughed. Security? We're in a public park. I'm just a concerned citizen exposing a fraud.
Aren't I, Lily? Or should I call you Emma? Which lie do you prefer?
Police arrived within minutes. Alexander's name carried weight.
But the stalker was right about one thing.
He hadn't technically done anything illegal. Standing in a public park, expressing opinions, recording a video,
all protected.
They took statements, documented the history, but ultimately let him go with a warning. He smiled at me as he walked away. See you soon, Lily. This isn't over. I know where you work, where you live, where he lives. You can't hide from love. Alexander was on his phone immediately, calling lawyers, security firms, his assistant. I stood there watching it all happen. Watching my two worlds collide in the worst possible way. Alexander drove me back to my apartment, a modest place in a modest neighborhood. Nothing like Lily Morgan's penthouse. He walked me to the door in silence. We need to talk, he said finally. But not tonight. Tonight you need to pack a bag and come stay at my place. It's secure, 24-hour security. Cameras everywhere. You'll be safe there.
I can't, I protested. He cut me off.
That wasn't a request, Emma,
or Lily, or whoever you are.
That man is dangerous and I'm not leaving you alone. You can hate me tomorrow. Tonight you're safe. I wanted to argue, wanted to maintain independence.
But I was tired, so tired of running. Okay, I whispered. Thank you.
He nodded once. Pack enough for a week. We'll figure out the rest later. That night in Alexander's guest room I couldn't sleep. Around midnight I heard movement in the kitchen.
Found him standing by the window, looking at the city lights.
I'm sorry, I said from the doorway.
For everything, for lying, for the accident.
For bringing this into your life. He was quiet for a long moment. I've been thinking, he said finally, about that day. The accident. I was watching your video.
That part's true.
But I made the choice to look at my phone while driving. I made the choice to be distracted. You didn't force that. I'm responsible for my own actions. But you're responsible for yours too. The lying. That's on you. I know, I said. I know, and I'm sorry. Are you? He asked, turning to face me. Or are you just sorry you got caught? That hurt. Both, I admitted.
I'm sorry I lied, and I'm sorry I got caught because getting caught means losing you.
And I love you.
I know I have no right to say that. I know it's not fair, but it's true.
I love you, Alexander. Not because you're successful or kind or because you saved me.
I love you because when I'm with you, I feel like I can finally breathe. Like I can be the person I always wanted to be, but never had the courage to be. He closed his eyes. Don't, he said.
Don't make this harder. It's already impossible. What do you want me to do? I asked. Tell me how to fix this. I don't know if you can, he said. I don't know if I can trust you again. Trust is everything to me, and you broke it completely.
I went back to the guest room and cried into a pillow so he wouldn't hear.
Cried for the relationship that was dying before it really lived. Cried for the girl I'd been and the woman I'd become. Cried because I'd finally found someone who saw me, really saw me, and I'd ruined it with lies. Around 3 a.m. my phone buzzed. The stalker. A text from an unknown number. You looked pretty tonight. Blue sweater. Alexander's building. Unit 42. Nice place. Wouldn't want anything to happen to it. To him. You know what I want, Lily. Give me what I deserve. I stared at that message and something inside me shifted. I was done running, done hiding. Done letting this man control my life. The next morning I made calls. My lawyer first, then the police detective who'd handled my original case. I wanted a restraining order, surveillance, everything legal I could get. They promised to expedite. Then I did something I hadn't done in 6 months. I opened Lily Morgan's Instagram account. Sat there staring at the profile. 8 million followers. 6 months of silence. Thousands of comments begging for answers.
What are you doing? Alexander asked.
I hadn't heard him come in.
I'm ending this, I said. I'm done hiding.
You're going back online, he asked, and I couldn't read his tone.
I'm telling the truth, I said. All of it.
The stalker, the disappearance, everything, no more lies. That's incredibly dangerous, he pointed out. I know, but living in fear is more dangerous. I'm taking my life back.
What about us? He asked quietly. What about the fact that millions of people are about to know exactly who Emma Brooks really is? That our entire relationship will be dissected online? I looked at him. I can protect you from that.
Not mention you at all.
Keep you out of it.
But that means really keeping you out of it. Ending this. Is that what you want? He sat down heavily. I don't know what I want. I'm angry and hurt and confused. But I also spent last night terrified that something would happen to you, that he'd get to you. I can't just turn off how I feel, even when I want to. So what do we do? I asked.
He met my eyes. Tell your truth. Deal with your stalker.
And when the dust settles, if there's anything left of us, we'll figure it out then. I spent 2 days preparing, writing the statement, recording the video. My lawyer reviewed everything. The police set up monitoring. Alexander gave me space but stayed nearby, a protective presence even in his anger. And then I hit post. The video was 17 minutes long. I told them everything. The stalking, the fear, the decision to disappear. I showed the messages, the threats, the police reports. I explained Emma Brooks wasn't a lie but a lifeline, and I apologized. For disappearing without explanation. For worrying people who'd supported me. For not being strong enough to face it publicly. The last thing I said was this. If you're facing something similar, if someone is making you afraid, please get help. You don't have to face it alone. You don't have to be brave. You just have to survive. The video went viral in minutes. Within an hour, it had 1 million views. Within 3 hours, 5 million. The comments were overwhelming. Support, anger at the stalker, gratitude for sharing. Thousands of people sharing their own stories. News outlets picked it up. My stalker's photo, taken from security footage, was everywhere. Tips poured into police.
Someone recognized him, someone knew where he lived. And 20 hours after I posted that video, police arrested him. Breaking and entering at my old apartment building. Violating protective orders I didn't even know had been granted. Possession of weapons. Credible threat assessment. He'd been planning something. Something terrible. The video had stopped him by making him too visible to act. I did my first live video since returning. Just me, no script, talking to the camera. Alexander watched from across the room. Thank you, I told my followers. Thank you for believing me. For supporting me. For making me feel less alone. Someone asked about the nurse thing. I smiled. That's real. I really am a nurse now. Helping people that way, it's shown me what matters.
What's actually important?
Another question. Are you coming back to content creation full time?
I don't know. I answered honestly.
I'm figuring out who I am now. Who I want to be.
Someone asked, "Who's the guy in the background?" Alexander froze. I looked at him.
He shook his head slightly. I turned back to the camera.
That's someone who taught me that the truth, even when it's hard, is always worth it. Let's keep the focus on the important stuff.
They respected it, moved on.
Protected him like I'd wanted.
After I ended the live, Alexander came to sit beside me.
That was good, he said.
Really good. You handled it well.
Thank you for not mentioning me, I said. I meant what I said. You don't deserve to be dragged into my mess. He was quiet.
Then, I've been thinking about what you said. About feeling like you could breathe around me. I feel that way too. Around you, both versions of you.
Emma showed me calm and kindness. Lily showed me courage and authenticity. But they're the same person, aren't they? Just different facets. I nodded, afraid to speak.
So here's what I'm thinking, he continued. I'm still hurt. Still processing. But I don't want to lose you. Either of you. All of you. So maybe we start over slowly. Honestly this time.
I wanted to kiss him. Wanted to promise I'd never lie again.
But starting over meant building trust through action, not words. Okay, I said simply. However you need to do this.
We'll go at your pace.
He smiled, small but real.
Tell me something true then. Right now. Something I don't know. I thought about it. When I was taking care of you in the hospital, I used to watch you sleep and feel guilty, but also grateful. Grateful that whatever happened, it brought you into my life in a way that mattered.
Not as a follower or a fan, but as a real person I could actually know.
I fell in love with you while feeling like I didn't deserve to.
That's my truth.
He reached for my hand. Here's mine. I fell in love with Emma, but I'd been halfway in love with Lily for years. Meeting you felt like finding something I'd been searching for without knowing what it was. That scared me. Still does. We spent the next week just talking.
He asked questions about Lily's life. I asked about his.
We were learning each other without the filters, without the performance. Some days were easier than others. Some moments he'd look at me and I could see the hurt resurface. But he kept choosing to stay. Kept choosing to try. The stalker was denied bail. District attorney was pursuing maximum charges. My lawyer said we had a strong case. Restraining orders were permanent. I could breathe. For the first time in months, I could actually breathe. I went back to work at the hospital. My supervisor was surprisingly understanding. Some people knew now who I really was, but most didn't care I was still good at my job. Still showed up. Still helped people. That mattered more than followers or fame. Though I did catch a few patients doing double takes. One elderly woman asked for a selfie. I laughed and took it with her. Why not? I wasn't hiding anymore. Alexander came to pick me up after my shift one evening. Waited in the lobby like he belonged there. A coworker nudged me. Bet your boyfriend? I smiled.
Yeah, I think he is. She grinned.
He looks at you like you hung the moon. Hold on to that one. 3 months after the video, after the arrest, after everything, Alexander took me to dinner. Somewhere fancy this time. We could afford to be seen now. The story had died down. We were just people again. Over dessert, he reached across the table for my hand. I've been thinking, he said, about that first night in the hospital. When I woke up and saw you, I thought you were an angel. Turns out I was right. Just not the way I imagined. You saved me that night and every night after. Not Emma, not Lily. You, whoever you are, whoever you're becoming. That's who I fell in love with. I felt tears coming. I didn't know what to say. So I just held his hand and let myself feel it. Feel loved. Feel seen. Feel safe. He pulled out a small box. I froze. This isn't what you think, he said quickly. Not yet anyway. When we're both ready, I'll ask properly. But I wanted you to have this. He opened it. A necklace. Simple, elegant with a small pendant. On one side was engraved Emma. On the other, Lily. Both of you, he said. All of you. I don't need you to choose. I want every version, every truth, every contradiction. I want the influencer and the nurse and whoever else you discover you can be. I want it all. I took the necklace with shaking hands. Put it on right there at the table. How does it look? I asked. Like you, he said simply. Perfect and complicated and absolutely worth it. 6 months after that dinner, the trial concluded. My stalker was sentenced to 7 years with mandatory psychiatric treatment. It wasn't enough for what he'd done, what he'd taken from me. But it was something. It was over. I could move forward. I'd continued nursing part-time. Started creating content again, but different now. More honest. More raw. Talking about mental health, safety, the reality behind the highlight reel. My following had grown to 10 million. But the comments were different now. Deeper. People sharing real struggles, real victories. I'd become something more than inspiration. I'd become real. Alexander and I got an apartment together. Our apartment. Somewhere between his penthouse and my modest place. Somewhere that was ours. We built a life that balanced both our worlds. He respected my need to create, to connect with my community. I respected his need for privacy, for normalcy. We figured out how to be public and private at the same time. How to share our love without selling it. Some days were hard. Trauma doesn't disappear with a verdict. Trust takes time to fully rebuild. But we showed up for each other. Every single day. That's what love is. Not perfection. Presence. 1 year after I posted that first video, Alexander proposed properly. On the hospital roof where we'd had our first real conversation, where I'd almost told him the truth. Where everything had nearly fallen apart before it really began. He got down on one knee and said, I fell in love with you 3 times. Once with Lily online, once with Emma in person, and once with the real you underneath it all. Marry me, all of you, everything you are and everything you're still becoming. I said yes through tears. Yes to the life we'd built from ashes. Yes to the trust we'd earned back piece by piece. Yes to the man who'd seen the worst of my lies and chosen the truth of my love. Our wedding was small. Family, close friends. Some followers asked why I didn't live stream it. I smiled and said some moments are just for us. They understood. They'd learned through my journey that authenticity doesn't mean sharing everything. It means sharing what matters while protecting what's sacred. Alexander and I wrote our own vows. His ended with this. You taught me that people are not their highlight reels. That the woman behind the screen is always more interesting than the persona. That love is choosing someone completely, complications and all. Thank you for letting me see the real you. Thank you for seeing the real me. Mine ended with, "You were my favorite follower before you were my favorite person. Now you're my favorite everything. Thank you for waiting while I figured out who I was. Thank you for loving every version you found." We honeymooned somewhere with no internet. A small island where nobody knew Lily Morgan or Alexander Pierce. Where we were just two people in love learning to be married. We talked about the future. About whether I'd continue content creation. About whether we wanted kids. About how to balance ambition with presence. We didn't have all the answers, but we had each other. That felt like enough. When we returned, I made a decision. I'd continue creating content, but on my terms, one video a week instead of daily. Topics that mattered instead of trends. And I started a foundation for stalking victims. For people who needed to disappear to survive. Legal support, counseling, resources. Alexander helped me build it. Used his tech expertise to create safety tools. Apps for documenting threats. Secure communication platforms. We turned our trauma into purpose. Our story into service. My little sister asked me once if I regretted it. Any of it. The fame, the stalker, the lying, the pain. I thought about it, told her the truth. I regret the fear. I regret hurting Alexander. I regret that someone out there thought he owned me. But I don't regret becoming Emma, because Emma taught me how to be real. And I don't regret meeting Alexander as a nurse. Because if I'd met him as Lily, we never would have had what we have now. The foundation, the honesty, the choice to love someone despite knowing their worst. That only comes from walking through fire together. I still work as a nurse. Part-time now, but I couldn't give it up completely. There's something about those quiet hours with patients who need help. Something that keeps me grounded. Alexander understands. Sometimes he picks me up after night shifts, and we watch the sunrise together before going home. These are my favorite moments, when we're too tired to perform, too present to pretend. Just us. Real and flawed and choosing each other anyway. People ask me all the time for advice. How did you survive? How did you rebuild? How did you learn to trust again? I tell them it wasn't linear. Some days I still panic when I hear footsteps behind me. Some days Alexander still struggles with wondering what else I haven't told him. Trust isn't rebuilt in a moment. It's rebuilt in 1,000 small moments of choosing honesty even when lying would be easier. Of showing up even when running would feel safer. Of loving someone even when you're scared they'll leave. On our first anniversary, Alexander gave me a photo album. Pictures from the hospital. He'd asked a nurse friend to take them secretly while I was working. Me checking vitals, me laughing with a patient, me focused on my work. I didn't even know he'd been there. Why, I asked. Why these pictures? Because this is when I started falling in love with the real you, he said. Not Lily the influencer. Not Emma the persona. You, the woman who showed up in the middle of the night to take care of a stranger. That's who I married. That's who I choose every day. I cried looking through those photos. Seeing myself through his eyes. Seeing the woman I'd become when I wasn't performing for anyone. We started trying for a baby a year later. It took time, required patience, taught us new ways to support each other. When I finally got pregnant, I was terrified. Terrified of bringing a child into a world where I'd been stalked. Where privacy was impossible. Where my past could become their burden. Alexander held me through the panic attacks. Reminded me that our child would have both of us. Would have the truth from the beginning. Would learn that people are complex and forgiveness is possible and love is a choice you make every day. We decided not to share the pregnancy online. Not to make our child's existence content. Some things were just for us. Our daughter was born on a Tuesday morning. Small, perfect, unaware that her mother was once famous and her father was a billionaire. She just knew she was loved. We named her Hope.
Hope Morgan Pierce. Because that's what we'd found in each other. Hope that the worst moments don't define us.
Hope that truth is stronger than lies. Hope that love can survive anything if both people are willing to fight for it. When I held her for the first time, I understood why I'd survived everything. It wasn't for the content or the following or the influence. It was for this. For her. For the family Alexander and I were building from broken pieces.
I took 6 months off from everything. No content. No foundation work. Just being a mom.
Learning how to keep a tiny human alive. Alexander took paternity leave. Something his board grumbled about, but he didn't care. "These months are ours," he said. "The company can survive without me. Our daughter can't." We were exhausted and covered in spit up and deliriously happy. Some nights we'd look at each other over her crib and laugh at the absurdity. That we'd found each other through chaos. That we'd almost lost each other to lies. That we'd built this despite everything working against us. When I finally returned to content creation, I brought Hope into it thoughtfully. Never her face, never her full name online, but the reality of motherhood. The exhaustion and the joy and the transformation. My audience responded with their own stories. We built a community of parents navigating the balance between sharing and protecting, between authenticity and privacy. I'd learned that lesson the hard way. Now I could help others learn it more gently. Alexander's company partnered with my foundation. We created technology specifically designed to help stalking victims, better reporting tools, AI that could identify escalating threat patterns, resources connected directly to law enforcement. We were turning our nightmare into something that could save others from experiencing the same. Every victim we helped felt like a small redemption, like the pain had purpose. Like maybe what we'd survived mattered beyond just us. On Hope's first birthday, we had a small party in our backyard. Nothing fancy, just family, just love. My parents were there, finally able to relax after years of fear. My sister, who'd become one of my closest friends. Alexander's father, who'd flown in from Seattle. And us. Our little family. As we sang happy birthday, I looked around and thought about how different this was from the life I'd imagined at 25. The penthouse parties, the brand deals. The carefully curated perfection. This was messy and real and infinitely better. This was enough. More than enough. This was everything. That night, after everyone left, after Hope was asleep, Alexander and I sat on our porch. He pulled me close and I rested my head on his shoulder. "Thank you," I said. "For what?" he asked.
For giving me a second chance. For loving me despite the lies. For building this with me. He kissed my forehead. "Thank you for trusting me with your truth."
"All of it. Even the parts you were scared to share. That's love, isn't it? Being scared and sharing anyway. Being hurt and choosing to forgive. Being broken and healing together." I nodded against his chest. "That's exactly what it is." Years passed. Hope grew. We had another baby, a son we named Carter. My content evolved again, focusing more on the foundation work than personal life. Alexander's company expanded, opening clinics in 12 countries. We bought a house with a big backyard, got a dog, lived a life that looked normal from the outside, but was built on a foundation of extraordinary survival. People still recognized me sometimes, still asked for photos. I said yes when I could, no when I couldn't, and learned that boundaries were acts of self-love. Hope asked me once, when she was 7, why some people called me Lily and others called me Emma. I'd been dreading this conversation, preparing for it, knowing it would come. I sat her down and told her an age-appropriate version of the truth. That I'd been scared once. That I'd changed my name to be safe. That Emma was who I became and Lily was who I'd been, and both were real. She thought about this seriously. "So you're both?"
Kind of like how I'm Hope, but sometimes Daddy calls me Hopeful and Grandma calls me Sweetheart. Exactly like that, I said, tears in my eyes. Exactly like that.
My stalker was released after serving 6 years of his sentence. I got the notification from Victim Services and immediately felt sick. But I wasn't that scared girl anymore.
I was a mother, a wife, a survivor. Alexander and I had security protocols in place, restraining orders reinforced.
Our children's schools were notified. We prepared for this.
And more importantly, I'd healed. He couldn't take my peace anymore. I'd built something too strong for him to destroy. Still, I checked the locks twice that night. Still, Alexander held me a little tighter.
Healing isn't linear. But it is real. He never contacted us. Never violated the restraining order.
According to the tracking my lawyer set up, he moved to another state, got therapy, built a different life. I never forgave him. Didn't need to. Forgiveness isn't required for healing.
But I did stop letting him live rent-free in my head. Stopped giving him power over my peace. That was my victory.
Not his redemption.
My liberation.
On our 10th wedding anniversary, Alexander and I renewed our vows. This time on a beach at sunset with our children as witnesses. We'd earned these vows. Earned every word through years of showing up, working through hard things, choosing each other even when it would have been easier not to. I promised him honesty even when it's uncomfortable. He promised me patience even when it's hard. We both promised our children that love is built on truth and sustained by choice. That it's okay to be complicated. That healing is possible. That family is who shows up.
I still create content.
Not as much, not with the same desperation for validation. But I share our story when it helps. Talk about surviving stalking, about rebuilding trust, about balancing public and private, about being enough without performance. My following is smaller now.
People moved on to newer faces, shinier content. But the community that remained is real.
They're not followers. They're friends.
That's worth more than 8 million strangers ever was.
Alexander's company is worth billions now. But that's not what he's proud of. He's proud of the lives we've saved through our foundation, the families we've helped,
the technology that's making people safer,
the marriage we've built despite everything, the children we're raising to be honest and brave.
Money is just money. Impact is legacy. We learned that together. Built that together. Lived that together.
Sometimes late at night I still think about that hospital room. About Alexander unconscious, me standing over him carrying guilt like a weight. About how close we came to never happening. About how the worst moment of my life led to the best thing in it. I don't believe everything happens for a reason.
I don't think I was meant to be stalked, or that Alexander was meant to crash, or that pain is some cosmic test.
But I do believe we can choose what to build from our breaking. We can choose to let trauma define us or refine us. We chose refining. We chose each other.
We chose hope. My daughter wants to be a nurse when she grows up. Says she wants to help people like Mommy does. I tell her she can be anything she wants.
But if she chooses nursing, I'll teach her what I learned. That showing up in people's darkest moments is sacred work. That presence is the greatest gift.
That every patient is someone's whole world.
I'll teach her about boundaries too. About protecting yourself while helping others. About being strong and soft at the same time.
Lessons I learned the hard way. Lessons she deserves to learn more gently.
Alexander still saves every video I make.
Still watches them even though he's living the behind the scenes.
When I ask why, he says because he likes seeing me through the camera's eyes. Likes seeing what others see. It reminds him that the woman he fell in love with 3 times is the same woman. That Lily and Emma and the real me underneath were always one person.
Just facets of the same diamond. He makes me believe that.
Makes me believe I'm not a liar but a survivor. Not a fraud but a fighter. Not broken but beautifully rebuilt.
If I could go back and tell that terrified girl in the penthouse, the one who found a stalker in her living room, what happens next, I'm not sure I'd believe it. That you'll disappear and survive. That you'll become someone new and discover who you really are. That you'll meet a man who sees all of you and chooses all of you. That you'll build a family from ashes. That you'll turn trauma into purpose. That you'll be happy. Really, genuinely happy. Not highlight reel happy. Real happy. The kind that includes hard days and exhaustion and conflict. The kind that's earned. Would she believe that? I hope so. Because it's true. All of it. I came to that hospital hiding my identity, running from a monster, carrying guilt like a second skin. I left having found the truest version of myself. Having found a partner who makes me brave. Having found purpose beyond performance. I was a famous influencer hiding as a nurse. Now I'm a mother, a wife, a survivor, a helper, all at once. I'm Lily Morgan and Emma Brooks and 1,000 names I haven't discovered yet. I'm complicated and real and still healing and deeply loved. My billionaire fans saved my life by seeing me. I saved his by letting him. We saved each other by choosing truth over comfort, honesty over perfection, love over fear. And that, more than 8 million followers or any amount of money, is what makes a life worth living. That's the story. That's the truth. That's the end. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this story. If it reached your heart, even just a little, don't leave without letting me know. A simple heart in the comments is enough. And if you want to feel more stories like this, stories about love that survives everything and souls that find each other again, make sure to subscribe to Dramora Stories. Every story here is a reminder that love always finds its way back. And maybe so will you.